Hello, everybody. This is Paul Carruthers, and this is our weekly podcast, Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. We do this every single week, no matter what. Thanksgiving can't even stop us, can it, Sean?
No, I mean, we're every week. It's incredible. I mean, we're like probably better than the U.S. Postal Service. No gloom of night or anything will prevent us from our appointed rounds of this weekly podcast. So yeah, we're good with that.
Very true. So I don't even want to talk about it, but I'm going to because I really want to. But I thought about you last night when I was watching Monday Night Football, and
oh, God.
I feel bad about your Giants, and they just didn't look real good, did they?
No, and they've been, they haven't looked real good all season, but there's been one or two, wins that they've gotten. Like they beat the Saints, and they almost beat almost doesn't mean anything, but they've had a couple of decent games. But I would say last night was the worst game that they've played this season, and it really has led to some things. I haven't heard anything out yet, but they say that the offensive coordinator Jason Garrett is on his way out of there. So I don't know. You remember this, Paul, being a Chargers fan. At least from my point of view, I remember you had a general manager that I personally never really liked. He's not there anymore. We have a dreadful general manager now, so we need to figure that out first before we can do much else. But you guys are playing well out there.
Yeah, it's not going so bad. It's I don't live and die with them like I used to when they were in San Diego. But yeah. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I keep an eye open.
Yeah, I mean, you can't lose that faith no matter what. I know what that's like. You've been a fan your entire life. So I don't know what it would be like. Thankfully, the Giants really went from, I guess, metropolitan New York to New Jersey at one point, and it's sort of all the same thing. So that never really bothered me too much. The fan base stayed the same, but I don't know what it would be like to have them move to a whole other part of the country. Well, although LA is not too far from San Diego, but it is a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a different world. And I'm kind of, where I live is basically in between the two. So
right.
It works out okay for me. And sometimes it's nice to not have to plan your entire Sunday around a football game. So
yeah.
So speaking of Sundays, motorcycle racing, that's what we're really here to talk about. Yep. Today's guest is Jody Barry. He's raced with us I think he raced with us for 3 years, and then he went away and did some club racing, and he came back. This year he raced in the Twins Cup. He does have 2 KTM Junior Cup wins. That kind of shows you how long he has been with us, especially for when you realize he's still a very young man, like most of the kids are that come through the Junior Cup. 2017, he tried some Supersport. He finished 15th in the championship. But this year, I think he found a home in the Twins Cup Championship. He finished 6th. He had 5 podiums, including a victory at VIR. And I know you might feel the same way I do, but sometimes I forget about Jody Barry. It's like, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's on the podium and he's in our press conference, and you're like, oh man, I love this guy because he's very well spoken. He's a big character, and he's a pleasure to have. When he does finish in the top 3, he's a pleasure to chat with, in our press conferences that we do after every race. This year he had a big crash at MotoAmerica that basically, scared the entire paddock.
Right.
He rang his bell pretty good. And we were worried about him, and it was nice when his smiling face returned and everything was okay. And he did bounce back and had 3 podiums after that accident. So obviously no lingering effects that we know about, but we will talk to him now. And Jody, how are you? You all good?
Yeah, Paul, I'm all good. Thanks for asking.
Well, tell us, let's start with the bad. Obviously the season started out really well. And then, as I mentioned, I think your first race, what were you, 2nd?
Yeah, we had a podium 2nd at Road Atlanta before that 4 or 5 bike pileup that we had in race 2. And then after that, we went to VIR and just felt amazing. We were on top of it, and the team was hustling to get the bike ready to go. We had an issue in race 1, but we ended up on top of the podium race 2. So
Okay, and then the crash.
the crash was not very fun. I wish I had more to say about it, but to be honest with you, don't remember any of it. So
That's probably a good thing.
yeah, that's what one of the doctors had said, being unconscious for most of it actually saved the heck out of me, because something with your body shutting down and kind of going into safe mode, it minimizes the damage done and everything. So, but from what I was told, it was a pretty just kind of freak accident, I think 2 or 3 laps into the session, and then next thing you know, I wake up in the hospital. So it was definitely a different experience.
Jody, Paul's going to laugh about this because, he knows that I love all the riders in MotoAmerica, but I have degrees of my love. And you're one of the ones at the top of the list, just because, as Paul said, you're a delightful guy to be around. And, I think you became a folk hero in MotoAmerica when you won that race at VIR and let everybody know that it was hot as balls out there, because
yeah, I definitely was out of words to say, so I had to throw something out there, and unfortunately it was something silly like that.
No, but it's iconic. I mean, you're always going to be known for that. And I think I might have told you that, or I'm sure somebody else has, but when we went to the next round, no, well, it was the next time that Chris Parrish was on the podium.
Yeah, that was Road America, I think. I heard about that.
He yelled out, "I got to go with what Jody Barry said. It's hot as balls out here." So
yeah,
I thought it was good.
Yeah, that was awesome to, for him to give me a shout out like that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
Sean, if you think about it, the ideal podium would consist of Jody and Anthony Mazziato, as far as not knowing what they're going to say.
Oh, that is true. Yes.
Oh, and then we put Parrish on there too, who just, has a delightful way of delivering his lines too. So that would be quite a podium for all of us. I mean, we'd have a good time. Hey, Jody, I want to ask you something. So this is my perception, and it seems like when you raced in KTM and when you came back and raced in Twins Cup,
yeah,
it seemed like you're a different person than you were then. Are you the same as you were, or are you more? I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention as much then, but you just seem to be a lot more charismatic and outgoing, I guess. Did anything change?
You're not the only person to have brought that up this year. Back in the KTM Cup and everything, it was a blast being out on track and everything like that. And then I just had that one really bad year in Supersport that it kind of put me down as far as, I didn't have as much fun. And to take a couple years off and kind of work on just riding and learning to have fun and race again, and then come back and do it. It really has, rekindled my love for just showing up and riding and being in that environment and everything like that. So yeah, definitely. I mean, even just me looking back on the year, it was a whole different experience, and I had nothing but fun, especially with the guys we were rolling with too. So yeah, definitely different. I would understand you saying that from the different pastures that we've seen each other. So
was it a conscious thing that you kind of stepped away from MotoAmerica for a while, and was it brought about by your program and getting the funds to do it, or was it just you had to kind of focus yourself? What was that hiatus all about?
Well, I think it was a combination of a lot of things. Definitely focusing on myself. Obviously, the sport is pretty expensive, so there was some financial decisions in there as well. Like you said, my program it took me a different way for those couple of years, and I'm glad it did, because it definitely, like I said, changed my outlook on everything. But it was a combination of just about everything to decide, okay, let's step back a couple of years and kind of re-aim our focus and then just go out there and have fun. So,
hey Jody, this is out of the blue question for you, but have you seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies? Are you familiar with that whole thing?
I've seen bits and pieces, not too familiar though.
Where's he going with this?
I don't want to know almost.
Well, here's where I'm going with it, and it's out there, but it kind of makes me think when I look at the entry lists and go through them and everything, and I had noticed this morning when I was reviewing your bio, that we had you down as being in Crystal Lake, Illinois, which is in itself sounds kind of magical. But I know from the recent entry lists that we always have you down as Lake in the Hills, Illinois, which to me
Yes.
sounds like you're in the Shire at among the hobbits or something. What is Lake in the Hills like? And is it the same as Crystal Lake? They two different places, or what's the deal?
So they're neighboring towns, and depending, I guess, on how tired I was when I filled out the application, I may or may not have put Crystal Lake, but I do reside in Lake in the Hills.
Okay.
It is not as glorious as it seems, albeit I love the town, but there really isn't a lake in the hills here. More of a puddle in the humps, so to speak, because we're right in the flat of Illinois. So, but it, albeit not as glorious and as Lord of the Rings-esque as it sounds, it is a very nice town. Not a big one, but there's plenty to do here, put it that way.
Okay, Jody, you made reference to it a few minutes ago. But it seems to me like obviously the junior cup kids have a lot of fun, and you see them at night, running around on their scooters or what have you. And I know you were a part of that back when you were doing the KTM stuff.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it seems to me from the outside looking in that the Twins Cup class is probably about the most fun that people are having in our paddock. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because I think either me and Anthony Mazziato or me and Jackson Blackman were talking about it somewhere during this year, that it's almost as if we're having a little bit of a reunion.
Right.
Because between Hayden, Jackson, Anthony, and a couple others like Trevor Standish, and a couple others throughout the class, we all raced with each other back in the KTM days, those 2 years that we both did there. So it's, what we were doing back then and messing around in the paddocks is like kind of doing it again here, because it's the same people. It's like, old friends that haven't seen each other all reunited again. So.
Yeah, and it's also, I think what also makes it cool is the additional fact that you guys came up through this thing together, but then you're also, when you get to Twins Cup, you get to race these old guys, most of whom are pretty cool guys. And we've mentioned one of them already, but so it's kind of a little bit of a mix there that I think works out really well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing but amazing words about the Twins Cup and the riders in it and everything. It's definitely a great middle ground between Junior Cup and Supersport. So, I mean, it is definitely a blast on and off the track.
Jody, are you gonna do Twins Cup again this next year, or are you gonna try something else? What's your plan?
That's still up in the air.
Okay.
We got some stuff in the works, but nothing set in stone yet. So I don't want to get too far into it, but it's looking like, yeah, I'll be out there on a bike next year. So.
Okay. And tell us about your team a little bit. I don't really know the guys that are on your team, number one. I'm fascinated by the fact that it's called Righteous Racing.
Yeah.
I like to use that word once in a while, if somebody's got a righteous haircut or something.
There you go.
The other part of that is your paddock uniforms or shirts are absolutely amazing. So can you talk about all that, your team, why it's called that, and your outfits? Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I mean, we had the most down-to-earth group of guys this year, as far as a team goes. First things first is we're all really good friends outside of racing and outside of the racing paddock and everything. Ray Hoffman, the owner of Righteous Racing, so to speak, he's been helping me out since I was just a little kid racing minis up in Wisconsin. So it was good to get back to the roots a little bit. Between him and my father, they took care of the bike and made sure everything was tip top before I went out. And then we had Jason Knudsen, who's we call him our media and logistics guy, which is, just a name we give him to sound serious, but he just kind of hangs out and finds hotels and places to stay and make sure everybody's in good spirits. So, we did roll around with Thrash Bike Racing, the Liquid Molly truck and everything. And that was awesome because we've been hanging with Max and Smoke for a long time there too. So it was really nice to kind of get back to the OG people, so to speak, as far as, you know, who got me into racing and the people that have been with me there since the beginning.
Jody,
So
go,
go ahead.
sorry, Paul.
No, you go, Sean.
Okay, I just wanted to, I got excited when he was talking about his program, and I always think of people from the Midwest, and you know, they say a long time ago, with my background in advertising, David Ogilvy, who's from this famous advertising agency, said if you're going to hire people from the Midwest, because they're down to earth, they're honest, you see what you get, and you know, they're good people to work with. And I can see, Jody, you've got that ethic as well, and I think that's one of the reasons why I and so many people admire you so much. Are you originally from that area, and how did you start with your racing? What was the first track you raced at, and what was your first bike and all that stuff?
Yeah, I grew up here, for sure. Basically lived in the same house since I was born, and we were at Black Hawk Farms, which is about 45 minutes away from my house. I was watching my dad race, and I don't know, I was 8, 9, or 10 at the time or something, and Chris LeBougan ran a mini moto series called Northwoods GP then up at a track in Shawano, Wisconsin. That's where the supermoto races are held, the Lightning on the Wolf stuff. So he invited us up there, and just that was my first race. I mean, it was an absolute blast. And like you said, Sean, you know, guys from the Midwest, super down to earth. And we just felt right at home right away. And ever since then, it was like, you know, I've always wanted to race. So that's what got me started right there. Was basically riding a Ninja 250 on the go-kart track. So.
Okay, well, you're obviously not a factory superbike guy that's making tons of money or good money or any money. But
right.
So what do you do, Jody, like in the off season or even between races? I mean, do you have a job? Do you go to school? Do you play video games? What does Jody do when he's not at the racetrack?
Right. Yeah. No, I got a job. My father owned a auto repair shop. So that's my job now is running his auto repair shop. So basically, when I'm not on motorcycles, I'm doing car stuff, which
Cool.
Is everything. You know, I mean, customer service. You know, service writer. I work on the cars, and I have my own cars that I like to tinker with in the off season too. So basically, when I'm not on a bike, we're doing car stuff. So.
Jody, so we talked a little bit about what you're doing next year, and I can totally understand why you're not ready to talk about that yet. I mean, it is early days, and a lot of people are trying to figure things out. But you had a bit of a stint in Supersport, and I'm not trying to push you into that class. Particularly, you know, there's some changes that are coming up this year, and you know, there's a lot of things that have to be done to with the new bikes coming in. But do you have a pathway? I mean, let's just say you go back to Twins Cup again this year. Would you see yourself eventually going back to Supersport, and talk about when you did it before? Why did you choose Twins Cup, I guess, when you were doing a little bit of Supersport? Did it just feel like a better class for you?
Well, the reason that when we did the Supersport year, I think it was in 2017, it was very expensive, and it was also very hard on me as far as, you know, keeping physically fit and everything. So Twins Cup seemed to be the middle ground with that one between Supersport and Junior Cup, to where it's maybe not as expensive. I don't have to stress and strain myself as much as I did in Supersport. And it also seemed like what Ray Hoffman wanted to do. So that's kind of why we did that. Our expectations were set pretty low as far as what had happened during the year and what our accomplishments and our achievements would be. And we definitely exceeded those. So we were all excited about that. But as far as Supersport goes, I mean, I love riding 600s. I mean, we were down at Daytona, and it was ripping with Sam and Dom and Joseph Lemandry, and it was just the most fun I've had in a club race in a long time. So I would definitely love to hop back in the Supersport class one of these days. I just don't know when, and I don't necessarily have a highlighted path yet, but we'll see what this next year brings us.
So your birthday, you were born on a convenience store. Do you know what I'm saying by that?
Yes, the 7-Eleven. I love it. Well, I think anybody gets free slushies on July 11th, but I like to think I'm special in some way.
Geez, I didn't know that, but I'm gonna have to try it out because my birthday is 7/13, but I don't mind celebrating a couple days early. So.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, they don't check your birth certificate or anything, so hop on in there. I think you get a free one anyway, though.
Yeah, but my face, I have one of those faces where I can't play poker because.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get you.
I got the guilty look all the time. But anyway, I bring that up because your number is 7/17. Why is it not 7/11?
That's funny that, I don't know if anybody ever noticed that. Long story short, it was during my first, maybe it was a CCS race or maybe it was MotoAmerica, but 7/11 wasn't available. And basically, like 71 was taken by Ray Hoffman, by the way, and then 7/11 was taken. So I chose the next number that was close to 7/11 that had straight characters because we were using electrical tape back then as numbers. So we didn't want to do any 2s or 3s or anything. So 7/17. What's that?
Those are too difficult to make.
Exactly. So we picked ones with straight numbers in it, and it's just for some reason it's always reverted back to that. I think I was number 70 at one point, maybe in MotoAmerica or in club racing, and then it just always it finds its way back to the 7/17.
So it is derivative. That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, it was so close. I had a feeling it had to do with it in some way. There are a lot of guys whose numbers, when they're 3 digits or whatever, are related to their birthday.
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing that came to my mind was when there was, when it was come time to pick our number and only 3-digit ones were available. It's like, birthday. That's just that's what comes to mind. The first thing,
Yeah, I mean, funny story about the president of MotoAmerica and all of our hero, Wayne Rainey. I mean, his number when he was racing early on was number 60. He had quite a few numbers, but that was a number he was really known for. And for the longest time, I thought, because I knew he was born in 1960, I thought that I had that number. He said, nope, it was completely and utterly random. He was just given that number to be the year. Yeah. So
yeah, I think I might have an anxiety attack if I was asked to pick a random number.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You got to associate it with something,
Yeah, you're a numerology kind of guy. I know that. Again,
well, he's a numerology kind of guy, but he's also like smart enough to know which ones are easy to make with tape.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm surprised you didn't go with 111.
I should have. I guess my mind was in the July 11th area.
Yeah, you had to celebrate his birthday. That's
all right.
Hey, so speaking of celebrate, we're gonna wrap up pretty soon here, but I wanted to ask you real quick about, obviously it's Thanksgiving week. You're from the Midwest. I don't know a lot about your family. Do you have a big family? And what do you do on Thanksgiving? And what's your go-to dinner? Are you a turkey guy? Or tell us all about your Thanksgiving.
Oh, 100% stuffing my face with some turkey. Turkey and mashed potatoes and gravy is where it's at for me anyway. But no, we usually hang out with my dad's side of the family on Thanksgiving. Usually we would go down to Georgia, but this year I think it's going to be up here in maybe in the Chicago area. But yeah, honestly, just a lot of over fillings of turkey and mashed potatoes. So that's basically, in the long and the short of it, exactly what my Thanksgiving is going to consist of.
So Sean, what's your plan? Do you stay home or do you go to family somewhere else?
Well, this year's going to be weird. So we used to always make the 10-hour trip back up to Northern New York, where I'm from, to my mom's and dad's, but it's gotten to the point where it's just too hard. And generally, whenever we go up there this time of year, we have to go through this area, which is around Erie, Pennsylvania, and up through Buffalo. And even this time of year, we'll get crazy snowstorms, and we've been snowed in different places, and we just got tired of dealing with that mess. It's like a complete journey from one place to another. So, we've met them halfway sometimes. Pam's mom's in Florida, but we go see her for Christmas. So for us, we've had my mom and dad down, but they've become a little bit older, so that doesn't really work anymore. So this year, excuse me, we are going to, I'm getting all choked up thinking about it because it's not going to be that emotional. You're not going to believe it. We're going to get on to Bob Evans and get a couple of turkey dinners to go. We're going to sit in our kitchen and eat. And I think our son's coming over. Our son lives in Columbus, and but this is the reason we do this. he does not like turkey, much to Jody's, probably not happy to hear that, Jody, but he's a hamburger guy. So
Hey, meat and potatoes is where it's at.
yeah, exactly. He's meat and potatoes, but he's not much of a poultry guy. So,
Oh,
so my wife always cooks him a burger, and we have turkey, and there's always so much left over that this year we're just going to get to go dinners and be happy to with the whole thing.
That's not a terrible idea at all.
Yeah, it's not bad. But Paul, I know, is a big family guy. You're probably all about it, right, Paul?
Well, I'm fortunate, and my sister and her family live in San Diego, so they're only like 50 minutes away. So I will go down there, and then my parents will be down there as well. So that's where I do the business on Thanksgiving. So it makes it easy for me. I go down there and they do all the work, and we make my dad do the dishes, because we've always had this thing in our family that if you've won a world championship, then you have to do dishes. So I'm safe from that. So he has to do the dishes every year, the poor bastard. But anyway,
that's terrible. Jeez.
No, I'm going to help him out this year, because I don't want him to feel like he's getting picked on. But anyhow, so that's my plan for Thanksgiving. So it's a pretty easy day for me. I just kind of get taken care of, which is nice, and don't have to worry about too much. And it's a quick drive and goes pretty smoothly, and I don't have to worry about snow chains or anything like that. So we'll be good.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah. Have you had snow yet up there, Jody? We had a little bit that only lasted like one day.
We had some flurries here and there, but nothing sticking.
Okay. Yeah.
They haven't been out in the roads with the salt yet. So
right. Thank God.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, boys. It was nice chatting with you as always, Jody, and I wish you luck in putting your program together, and hopefully, well, I can guarantee that we're going to see you. So hopefully we see you with a package that you're successful with, and we get to have you on more podiums and more press conferences and all that good stuff. But both of you travel safely, whatever you do for Thanksgiving and the rest of the holidays, and we'll chat again in the new year.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paul. See you, Jody.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.